are back, people. We are back. Your favorite, I'm never lying when I say this. Your favorite sports podcast roaming the airwaves, rolling with Ramos, is back. I happen to be the one that holds the last name Ramos. I like to specifically thank my daddy for that one. Mike Ramos in heaven, I love you. I miss you every single day, every hour. I hope you see that. Episode 110. 110 of them things. And, before I let you guys know what this episode is going to represent, who we naming this one after, because, we named it after the person that wore the jersey. Emphasis on the 10. We had to come back around. I got to introduce to you my good friend, one of the best guys I can have in my corner. He does everything. He's the star. Tristan, another week, baby. You in my closet. We were in gray.
I know. Gray seems to be the theme for today, but I'm glad to be here. Glad to have another show. It's Super Bowl week, so I'm a happy camper because I love football. So I'm excited. Let's get this going.
It's gray. It's been dark and gloomy. If you've been anywhere on the East Coast, you've been in some snow. Hopefully this cheers you up. Our guest this week, not only is she lovely, not only does she work for ESPN, she'll tell you some other beautiful things that she's doing, but sports is her thing too. And she's one of my friends on Twitter, and I'm glad that I called her and she answered. Jael Rucker, you are rolling with Ramos. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm good. Well, first off, let me say shout out to my daddy, too, because, I hope I'm making him proud up there. And I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on. I know we've been Twitter friends, IG friends for a while. You're doing big things, 110. That's a lot of episodes, a lot of consistency. So I'm happy for you.
Tell the people where they can find you and some of the things that you're doing.
Okay, well, I guess in terms of what I'm doing right now, I haven't been on the sidelines for Georgia State on ESPN this year because unfortunately they're not letting anybody down on that lower level. There's only a certain amount of people and you can't really interact with anybody. So I'm hoping I'll be back maybe next season. But in the meantime, I also started working for Gary Vee. I think a lot of people know Gary Vee, but for those that don't, he's like this big media guru, business guru. He's a huge force. He has a company called 137 PM, and we cover a lot of topics like entertainment, gaming, sports. I mostly work on the sports, and I've actually started reporting a lot on sneakers now, which is become a passion of mine too. So it's we still kind of cross that world. I do a lot of writing, some media content. Hopefully, if All-Star Weekend comes to Atlanta, we'll be here. And that's just mostly what I've been doing. So if you want to keep up with me, keep up with my articles and work, you can find me on Twitter. I'm Rucker JL, and then on IG, I'm Jael Rucker TV.
All right, there you have it. So she told you everything, so you can't just not miss her. Anyways, episode 110. This is who we name it after. Hall of Fame point guard. He played 10 of his 13 seasons in the NBA with the New York Knicks. He was a 7-time All-Star who won 2 NBA championships with the Knicks. Was named to the NBA's 50th anniversary all-time team, and his number was retired by the Knicks. You should know who this is, America. Episode 110, the Walt, Clyde, Fraizer edition. Let's get right into this thing in honor of Walt, Clyde, Fraizer, because we got some NBA to talk about right off the bat. Indeed. And we don't have to go far, Tristan, to talk about it because it's literally down 95 in the saga that continues to be the Washington Wizards. So I got a timeline to read for you guys, and then we can actually talk about it. The Wizards versus the Pelicans is where it all started, okay? 142 left in regulation. The Pelicans are beating the Wizards 120 to 103. There's pictures of Bradley Beal circulating the internet with him on the bench. He's looking like he's contemplating another life, a life that has nothing to do with the Wizards. And he's sitting there looking disgruntled. That night, he recorded 47 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals. That was, of course, in a loss. Mm-hmm. Another stat, Bradley Beal has had his last 10 straight games, he scored 40 plus points. So Bradley Beal, in his last losing efforts, in 10 straight games when scoring 40 points or more. He has lost. Other stats to look at. Bradley Beal's last 6 games, 47.6 assists. That was a loss. 33 points, 5 rebounds. That was a loss. 31.7 rebounds. That was a loss. 34 points, 9 assists. That was a win. 41 points, 16 to 29 from field goal range. That was a loss. 60 points, 7 rebounds. That was a loss. Are you seeing the trend? And if you want to throw in Russell Westbrook this season, 163 shots, 163 points this year. Let's take a turn, because then the timeline takes us to Bill on if it's frustrating when the Wizards are starting at a 3-11 start. They asked him this. A reporter asked him if he was frustrated about the season. He says, the sky is blue. He's sitting there on a bench. Everybody's saying free him. He needs to go. He needs to vacate the premises. He's saying now the sky is blue. Then we go more down the timeline to 2 days ago, where things start to shift against the Brooklyn Nets. Bill, 37 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Russell Westbrook, 41 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. They rattle off a quick 6 points in a stunning 3.8-second sequence that propelled the Washington Wizards to a 149-146 comeback victory over the visiting Brooklyn Nets on Sunday night. I'm not surprised that one of the most craziest games of the year came from these two teams, because last week we were talking about the Nets, this week we're talking about the Wizards, and all the shambles that's happening in their organization because of both of them can't seem to get it together. Anyways, the Nets led by as many as 18 points at Capital One Arena and had 3 25-point scores in Harris, Irving, and Durant. The Wizards and Nets continued 295 resulted. The Wizards and the Nets combined for 295 points, resulting in the second highest scoring non-overtime game in the past 25 seasons. That is according to ESPN Stats and Information and Research. Shout out to Malika Andrews for that tweet. But the Nets defense issues allowed the Wizards to stay in the game. At this time, we don't have nothing to lose, Westbrook said. It's win or go home. I didn't know that we were that big in the season where it was win or go home this early, but hey, shout out to Russell Westbrook. He also added, I was out there playing with one leg, just trying to give everything I had. This statement as a result of him coming back from his quad injury. It was the first game all year I had a white claw, Wizards coach Scott Brooks said. I want to enjoy it. This is a good feeling. I want our players to enjoy it. We fought hard. We've done it all year, and the basketball gods gave us a break tonight. Then, lastly, Bradley Beal is smiling on this game again. His wife is tweeting about his dedication. Oh, she got a lot to say about her man. If you think you're going to come in between her and Bradley Beal and what he does in the court, she's going to let you know something. Anyways, she's tweeting about his dedication and what he leaves on the floor night in and night out. Everyone in DC is smiling. Everyone is happy for right now. Even so, to the point that the news of today, Tristan and Jael, if we're looking at it according to Fred Katz and Shams Charania, Bradley Beal, I repeat, Bradley Beal doesn't want to be traded. Again, he doesn't want to be traded. Beal wants to build a winner in Washington. That was a lot. Will Beal and the Washington Wizards be able to make a winner out of themselves? What do we make of what's going on in Wizards land and Bradley Beal? I'll tell my point of view later. I don't feel bad for neither party. JL, you are a guest as I point to my house. Literally.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking it's not really comparable, but it kind of is. This sort of reminds me a little bit of like Kobe Bryant's situation in 2005, like 2005, 2006, early 2007, right before they kind of got the Pau Gasol trade. The Wizards definitely seem to be struggling, but unlike Kobe at that time, it definitely seems like Beal does not want out, at least right now. And I think I read the same article that you read, and he said he doesn't like change. So that was his take. He said he doesn't like change. And then they also said that he was really intrigued by Dirk Nowitzki and how he spent like 22 years with the Mavericks. You think that was 22 years, but how he just like won one ring with them. And so I don't know. I mean, he doesn't want out. I think there's obviously a lot of chemistry issues. John Wall leaving, like they're going through some changes. I'm not quite sure what their future is. I still think they need an additional piece or pieces. But in terms of what Beal does, it doesn't seem like he's frustrated enough to demand a trade, at least not right now.
But the allure of DC, no stars want to come to DC. No, I mean, I don't even see any veterans wanting to come to DC. Why is it? You would think it would be with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal deal, but why is it not enough in DC? Not to mention their cap salary is up the roof, but we're not even going to talk about that.
I just don't know if it's appealing. I mean, when I think of the Wizards, and this is just no disrespect, right? I've just always kind of seen them, even like going back to like the Gilbert Arenas era, where it's like they're a team to me that can make the playoffs, but it just doesn't seem like they possess the pieces to be able, and maybe it's not even possessing the pieces. It could have even just been majority of that time LeBron was in the East Coast and they weren't beating him or they weren't beating the Heat, but it never really seems like they have what it takes to get over that hump. So that's just kind of what it appeals to me. And I mean, I'm not sure if I would choose DC to play in. DC's nice. It's nice. It's a nice city, but to play there, if I were an NBA player and I had my choice, or if I wouldn't willingly go there. Yeah. So that's just my.
The big ruckus was the hometown boy was on the trading block. Kevin Durant did not want to come home to DC. Tristan, here we are again. We're talking about the Wizards and we're talking about Bradley Beal. Should he stay? Should he leave? I think this is a regaling tale that we're used to. What's your take on it, brother?
Well, I was actually kind of shocked, quite honestly, when the report came out today that he was happy where he was at, just frustrated about the losing. I think he's doing himself a great disservice, especially now that you got that contract. I mean, I remember when he signed the contract and everybody thought he was crazy then. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, well, he probably feels, John Wall's going to come back. John Wall's going to be healthy. They can do what they did. And like how they had that playoff series against the Celtics. They had that kind of run and maybe go forward. And the Wizards ended up trading John Wall and to Houston. And now we're stuck with Russell Westbrook, who if you were to count the MVP purely on energy, he'd win the MVP every year. But unfortunately, we're about numbers and about W's in the NBA. And fortunately, he's inconsistent. I mean, that's really the nicest way to put it. And I know people are still on a high from the game winner that happened against the Brooklyn Nets, but at the same token, I think I could probably take a few of my guys with me and we'll be able to score some points on the Nets the way they play defense at this point. So
we couldn't guard a stick.
I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, it's unbelievable that you're seeing all-star game numbers every single game for the Nets because as much as they can score, they can't play defense. It's astounding. But I do feel that Bradley Beal is doing himself a disservice staying with that team. He can go to a team and automatically, if he goes to one of the playoff teams that's on the cusp, he could be the difference between them getting to a championship and winning a championship. Like he's that high caliber of a player. And the Wizards have always done a disservice for as long as I can remember when it comes to their team. It never shakes out correctly. And, we blame the old president, had brought the new president in. It seemed like it's the same story, just a different cover. Like that's all it is. So we'll see how he feels towards the middle and end of the season, if he still has that same energy that he had today. I was really shocked when that came out today.
People have asked me how I feel about it. I don't feel bad for the Washington Wizards and I don't feel bad for Bradley Beal. I mean, just think when he really started to emerge a couple of years back, he almost could have been a Laker. And look what has transpired in LA this whole time. This meaning he could have been on LeBron James' team, been a Laker and had a chip by now. And he decided then, just like Jael said, loyalty, I don't like change. I'm going to stick to where my team. But my whole thing is, if you're going to do that and loyalty is always going to be in your mind and that's what you're sticking to, then I don't want to see you on national television looking like you're frustrated. I don't want to even hear about you frustrated. Look at all them years that Carmelo Anthony stayed in New York. We knew he was frustrated, but we never heard a peep of him saying that he was frustrated. We never heard about him, even when he was asked, we never heard about him going to the front office and demanding this and demanding that. He finally demanded it when he knew that his wheels were being turned by the Knicks and that they were never going to do anything to make him, to adjust to him any longer. And look where the Knicks are now. They lost the best thing that ever happened to him since then. So at some point, if you're going to keep going and off this mantra that is you and the Wizards and right on and we taking on the world, then shut up and just let that be about that. I think we're not seeing a difference between last season and this season. The Washington Wizards definitely put the foot in their behinds because, oh, we're going to get Russell Westbrook. A week before Russell Westbrook became a Wizard, nobody knew where the hell he fit in this league anymore. Just like you said, Tristan, consistency goes a long way. We love him. I mean, consistency goes a long way. We love him for his effort. But in the NBA, when you talk about championships, that does not give it to them. And Russell Westbrook is not that guy. And what you're doing is you just sent your franchise guy away off of an assumption that he couldn't be what he used to be anymore. And the more we watch him in Houston, the more the legs are coming back underneath him, and the more Houston is looking at the fact that they may have something good for themselves, and they better make right of it. And look at the Wizards now. And we're talking about why people don't want to come to DC. John Wall could have made his name could have made people come to DC. We had the guinea pig year of seeing what Bradley Beal could do with this team. You took away your franchise player to say that Bradley Beal is the guy you want to build around. And look what has happened. He's still scoring 50. They still are losing. And we still don't know if he's going to make the All-Star break. I don't feel bad for neither one of them. You get what you deserve.
Yeah, and then along the lines of that, I don't recall, I mean, you never really know what goes on behind the scenes, but I don't recall John Wall wanting out until he found out that they were trying to in trade talks, right? A lot of people don't know this, or maybe they forgot, but that was the same thing Cleveland kind of did with Kyrie. They had a deal done, I think, for Paul George, draft day 2017, and it got back to Kyrie, and that's when he wanted out.
John Wall did not want to leave DC, and he only left because he felt like they don't want me anymore. And then the reports of they want to build around Bradley Beal. But if you're going to do it, then do it, because we're still talking about the Wizards and their inability. And guys, Russell Westbrook was supposed to solve this problem. Oh, we're basically plugging in the same guy. No, you're not. It's not the same. I don't understand how they make them the same.
It's not the same because, when John Wall was playing, John Wall put up the same quality numbers as Beal did. And I think what their fear was, they didn't know what John Wall they were getting coming back here. And they were like, we don't know, and the league doesn't know, but let's try to trade him and bait him based on what he's been, and we could possibly move him. And right now it's biting them, because I really feel that this team would be better if John Wall was still on the roster, and it makes the Houston deal, what Houston did, look a whole lot better. And I said that Houston won out of this trade, out of everybody, because everybody was talking about Brooklyn. Oh, how you gonna do this? But look what Brooklyn had to give up to get James Harden. Houston won out of this deal for the long run, because you got guys that know how to play with the ball and play off the ball. It makes Coach Silas's system run that much smoother. And I think what two things in regards to this whole thing. What people fail to understand is that Steve Nash's system, not Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni's system is predicated on one ball dominant player. It happened in Phoenix with Steve Nash. He had one dominant point guard. When they brought him over to the Lakers, he wanted to make Kobe that in his system. It ended up running Kobe in the dirt, i.e. the Achilles injuries and all those little T-tac injuries, because you kept running his body at this high volume clip at the time, advanced age in the sports world. Then you brought him to the Knicks. Carmelo doesn't play that kind of game. Carmelo has a half-court game. He doesn't do this whole fast break, full court game. He doesn't have that. His is half-court, jump shots, fadeaways. He plays it at that level. So that's why for the Knicks, it didn't work because you didn't have a dominant point guard to go with Carmelo for the Knicks to run that system. Now you go all the way to Houston and you basically gifted him the perfect player for the system in James Harden. But the problem is that outside of that one player, you're basically putting scraps on the floor because it's one dominant player and everybody plays their role for everybody else. Everybody just kind of stands there and watch. And if they get the ball, then you got to try and make a shot. And if you don't get the ball, you try to get there for the rebound to go give it back to the ball dominant player in his system. That's how his system has always run. It always runs that way. So I never understood how this was like a confusing thing for people. It didn't matter what piece you put with James Harden. That system is only predicated on one player. It can't work like that. And even Kobe said it can't work. It can't win you a title because he played in it. He knows what it feels like. He knows what it looks like. You can't do it. The other thing that I look at in regards to this overall trade with everybody is that Washington is in a place where they have no idea what to do. You have all these contracts on your roster. You can't move it. You can't get any free agents to come because you either one, you can't pay them the money to come here, or two, they just don't have no interest to come here because they look at that roster and they're like, what do we really have to lean our hat on except for Bradley Beal, who, even though he said what he said today, he still could possibly go. Like you have nothing to hang your head on. And I keep telling people because people minimize this event. KD refusing to take an interview was the kiss of death for the Wizards. Everyone minimized it, but I'm like, when he came out and said, I didn't even take the interview, it was the kiss of death for the Wizards. Because if KD doesn't feel comfortable enough thinking of coming back home, quote unquote, close to everybody, being back home, you are literally arguably the best player in basketball going 1 or 2. So you automatically can make a team a contender. So it's not like he really needs anything. He just got to show up and be on the floor. You won't, and they were willing to give you all the money in the world, and you didn't want to take the interview. That said a whole lot about how he feels about that organization, and everybody in the NBA watched that happen. That's why.
Yes, let's look at some other pieces, JL, because Bradley Beal is not the only piece to this thing. Scott Brooks, when we talk about Scott Brooks, and we always talk about him being a manager of the stars, but he can't handle the rest of the team. So that's why we're not seeing a complete team in Wizards land. Is this the beginning of the end of Scott Brooks? And where do we see Russell Westbrook? Because if Bradley Beal decides he wants to go, does Russell Westbrook stay in DC? Or how many teams? She left us. Well, you can answer this question, Tristan. How many teams do we see Russell Westbrook going to? And is it something that we want to see as much as we've loved Russell Westbrook throughout the years, the latter point of his career being jumping from hill to hill?
Honestly, Russell Westbrook at this point is going to be like the modern Allen Iverson at this point. And the reason why I say that is because he refuses to change his game. That's really where we're at. He refuses to change the way he is. And his game has not evolved where you look at someone, we need him to be a consistent shooter, better clip, better 3-point shooting clip, better 2-point shooting clip. It's not there. He's still, it's almost like a undersized Giannis, almost. That's what it looks like. So right now we're in a position where he can't be as effective as we would like him to be with all that energy because he doesn't score the basket the way he needs to score the basket. It's a troubling issue. I couldn't see him if he was to go to another team. I couldn't see how that would work. I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you what team to put him on that I could say if he's on that squad gets better. I could not tell you that. He'd have been better off going to Charlotte because at least for box office purposes, it would have worked. but now we're seeing what LaMelo Ball is doing. So I almost wouldn't even want to put Russ in there to stifle LaMelo Ball. So I don't know. He really got to evaluate some things in regards to his career. He's got to change his game.
JL, welcome back. I need you to flip your camera. You're sideways on us.
It's not going. Hold on.
There we are. Right there. Stay right there.
Yep,
stay right there.
Perfect.
You're there. You're right there. You're perfect. Welcome back. I don't know what happened, but welcome back.
I got booted
Technology,
out
America.
for
This is
some
what it does. My question still was to you. Where does this put Scott Brooks and Russell Westbrook? Are we seeing the end of Scott Brooks in DC as the coach that can't take the Wizards over the hump? And Russell Westbrook, are we seeing the beginning of him going from hill to hill when it comes to the latter point of his career and not being able to make a team at home?
Okay. Yes. I don't know how much time Scott Brooks has got, but if he cannot turn it around, I would think, I'm not going to say this year. I'll give him one more additional year. We could see him go. And then as far as Russell Westbrook goes, I don't know. Like, I think Russell Westbrook is a skilled player, but it's like, I do have to agree when you do look at the numbers and it comes down to crunch time and stuff like that, it just hasn't, he's one of those players that just hasn't really been able to surpass that level. I don't know if it'll be a thing where he's consistently hopping from team to team. I don't know if Westbrook has that mentality because he's very much a bull, like he has the mentality, I can do it on my own. And that's never been him. Like, I'm going to go to a team and I'm going to be here and I'm going to try to win a ring. I mean, things change, people change, but I just don't see that being Westbrook's mentality. I think maybe if he's leaving, it might be through trades, but I can't see him being like, all right, I'm going to just up and go and bounce from team to team. He just doesn't strike me as that type of player. Another
player that's making a move, and we go to the WNBA to talk about this because she says she's coming home.
Yes.
And if you think, it's crazy because you go on Bleacher Report and you go on all these sites, these sports sites, and Candace Parker, I don't know if you've never watched TNT in your life. I don't know if you've ever not watched the University of Tennessee. I mean, damn near, if you watch Pat Summitt, you damn near had to be watching Candace Parker. Some would say in the comments that they did not know who she was. You know how people like to talk about the WNBA. A lot of people I saw in the comments said, who cares? Who's this? If you don't know who Candace Parker is, at least her. This is one of the biggest trades that has happened in the WNBA in a very long time. Candace Parker becomes the Chicago Sky's biggest free agent acquisition ever when she officially signed a 2-year contract with the Sky. It was worth $385,000 in total, according to her hoop stats. I'm home, Parker said. Her next WNBA chapter will take place in downtown Chicago, about 35 minutes. That's another thing. It does not matter whether you live in the suburbs. It does not matter whether you live in the city. If she's saying she's from Chicago, she's from Chicago. There's a lot of people, a lot of y'all that have been from DC, that have lived in PG County, Montgomery County, but you say you're from the DMV, right? It is all the same. Let's stop doing that. Anyways, she will take place in downtown Chicago, about 35 minutes east from where she grew up. This, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. The Sparks wanted Parker, who grew up in Naperville, to return to Los Angeles for 2021 and beyond, but she chose to return close to home for what could be the remainder of her playing career, even though it meant taking a pay cut. Chicago has never been a desirable free agent landing spot. For years, Sky's fans have watched as some of the league's best players have left the team and won titles elsewhere. If you can remember how this little thing goes, you can remember a lady called Elena Deladon and what she has done in DC, because she left the Sky as well. And what did she do? She won the championship in Mystics, first ever in their tenure. Parker's arrival immediately launches the Sky, already a talented team, to early WNBA Finals favorites, and has some key players thinking that this could be the year they go all the way. They get more stacked. They get Candace Parker, WNBA champion, 2-time MVP, Diamond DeShields, WNBA All-Star, Courtney Vandersloot, 2-time WNBA All-Star, 5-time WNBA assist leader, and Allie Quigley, 3-time WNBA All-Star. What do we make of this trade? She's going home. How do we feel about it? How do we also feel about the fact that she's no longer in LA, where we found her and started to love her?
You go ahead, Jill.
Am I going or are you going in?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So first off, I know some of my Sparks fans, like that are Sparks friends that are fans, are very hurt. But at the same time, in a way, they saw it coming. And if you know anything about Candace Parker, you'll know she's the ultimate professional at everything that she does. So I think if there were any problems, we're not ever going to know about it, but you could kind of pick up on the chemistry issues, not so much with her teammates, but I think from a coaching standpoint. And I think that's something that's a little bit missed. There seemed to have been a disconnect, I'll put it that way, between Derek Fisher and Candace Parker. And I always go back to when he sat her on the bench, and it was like, why are you sitting Candace Parker on the bench? So I think there's a lot of things that went on behind the scenes, but we could also be seeing Candace Parker still has a lot to give, but sometimes when a player starts to think about approaching the end of their career, they envision it. Sometimes they want to go back home, or they want to be in a certain place. And I think we could see that as well, like her ending her career there. And I think it would also just her legacy is already set, but if she can get one in Chicago, which I think is very, very possible, it'll just add to her legacy. But I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I think, I don't ever see Candace talking about it, at least not anytime soon. But for her to leave and to hear the rumblings of her like leaving before it was even official, I do think Derek Fisher might have had something to do with that. So
she wanted to go home and be comfortable. After a while, they want to go be comfortable. But Jael, Derek Fisher, just because you were a certain player in the NBA or in the WNBA, that does not mean that coaching can resonate or front office goal can resonate for you in that same matter. How much will the media, because we can say that Candace Parker isn't going to make any rumblings about this, but how much will the media be able to speculate, not only speculate, but put their foot down on the fact that Derek Fisher is the issue? And if Derek Fisher is the issue in LA and Candace Parker left LA, how long will his tenure be there?
You know what? I think LA seems to have like a personal connection to Derek Fisher. Maybe it's from his time with the Lakers. I don't know if that plays a part in it as well, but I think we do have to look at Derek Fisher, in all honesty. And I think whether you're saying it or, publicly or not, people do believe like, okay, there could be a problem. Because like I said, like what's the mindset? Personally, I don't think anybody has ever understood or can answer why Candace Parker was on the bench in that game. So I just think maybe behind the scenes, things aren't as, good as what it seems. And it would honestly depend on the success of the team. I think I think the Sparks still have a squad, and they can get it. They could potentially get it done. So if a team is winning or they're achieving success, it's kind of hard to part ways with the coach. I don't think I've ever really seen it done where a team was like successful and they part ways with the coach. The only time I could think of that was maybe Cleveland Cavaliers when they parted ways with David Blatt, despite having been to the finals like the year before and clearly on their way to another one. I can't think of it. I honestly wish more people would do that if they truly believe like, okay, I mean, I don't even know, because if you're winning, that's the only thing that matters. So
it's going to be swept under the rug pretty much. If they're winning, Candace Parker is gone. We're not really going to talk about it. We wish you the best of luck. Right on. Thank you for the years.
Yeah. I think it'll be swept under the rug if LA continues to do decent. I can't see them parting ways with Derek Fisher just because. But I do think, like many others, that there could have potentially been stuff behind the scenes.
Tristan, we see LeBron. He can go from coast to coast and change the pendulum how he wants it. Candace Parker, is she that girl? We seen it with Elena Deladon and what that trade did. Is she another one that can do the same thing? If she does make Chicago a contender, I mean, they're already a contender, but with her, they're even more a contender. Well, how did you feel about that trade? And if she's able to take them to the promised land, what does it speak about her and her legacy, even more to the one she's already built?
Well, when the trade happened, I was upset because I'm a Sparks fan. I mean, I've just been an LA fan since I was a kid. Between the Lakers and the Sparks, watching Lisa Leslie, and when I was younger and stuff. So I've been a fan for a long time, and I've loved Candace Parker since her college days. Like, I just thought she was everything, just what you could do on the floor. I just thought she was incredible. Ball handling skills, vision, scoring capability. Like, I always used to feel like she can, go one-on-one with some of the NBA guys for real and hold her own. Like, that's how I felt. I still feel that way. So I was definitely hurt when it happened. I definitely felt it was more so of, like Jael said, a coaching thing, because this is someone that was Rookie of the Year, two-time WNBA MVP, Finals MVP, champion, two-time Olympic gold medalist. That's who you benched in a crucial playoff game. That's who you benched. And till this day, like Jael said, there's no really logical explanation of why that took place. She wasn't hurt. She wasn't fatigued. Nothing. So we're still sitting in confusion. And I do believe people are holding on to Derek Fisher, the player, and not looking at Derek Fisher, the coach, just like how people look at Michael Jordan, the player, not Michael Jordan, the president. It looks different. It's two different people. So same thing that happened in the NFL with John Elway. People looked at the quarterback John Elway and not the GM John Elway. But finally, he's come to his senses and hired an actual GM that knows what he's doing. Now going back to this though, I think they legit. She makes Chicago legit to contend for a championship for sure. I was just taking a quick look at Chicago's roster. And honestly, the person that I really look at in regards to who will benefit from her are Gabby Williams and Sydney Colson. Those two are going to benefit greatly. One, with Sydney Colson, if they play Sydney Colson at the wing, I believe that it gives more space for her to do her thing, because people are going to pay attention to what Candace is doing. Not going to put a lot of pressure on her as far as getting to double teams and stuff, because all that attention is going to go to Candace. And then with Gabby Williams is like a Candace Parker light. She'll be able to take on and learn a lot from her. And also, they might use her as probably like a spell player for Candace, when Candace needs to take a breather, and she can do the similar things. Not quite at that level, but she could do similar things that Candace can do. So it's definitely a game-changing move for sure. And Chicago should definitely be excited for what's coming. I equivalent Candace Parker playing in Chicago as I would when Derrick Rose played for Chicago. It's that kind of draw and that kind of aura that she carries, because she did work when being a Chicago kid. She did work. So yeah, I'm excited to see it, but I'm hurt as a Sparks fan.
This is going to be very interesting, because you still got that three head over there in Phoenix, and they're still trying to figure it out there. Diana Taurasi and Skylar Diggins and Brittany Griner. Then you got Seattle. Can they regain? Can they come back? Can the Sparks? We were already talking about if the Sparks to come back and do it again. Now they're without Candace, so that'll be the storyline. Can they do it without her? Mystics, can they come back and get back in the fold? It's just so much to talk about in the NBA, and there's so many things, guys. Jael and Tristan, as I'm thinking of how the hell do you sit Candace Parker with so much on the line? It's just so many situations in sports that make us living in confusion, like Phyllis Hyman. Like, what the hell do these people be thinking?
Yeah, that's honestly in my opinion, that's like one of the most head-scratching moments ever, because it's like, what? Like, that's literally all you can say. What? Like,
yes.
We was on the bench with her looking like, what the heck is going on?
I was literally watching the game, and when I saw her sit, I was like, is she hurt? Is something happened? Did she tweak something? And then I saw her post game interview, and I was just like, Derek Fisher, what you doing, Brad? Like, I was upset. I was highly upset about that.
Even if she was hurt, she would have played.
I'd have fired him. I'd have fired him right then. I'd have fired him immediately. Like, you don't take my best player off the court for any reason. I don't care if she's even having a cold night. I'm not taking her off the floor. I'm not doing that.
We'll get into some NFL later when we discuss these Super Bowl picks, and there's another Super Bowl win that shouldn't have been a Super Bowl win. But hey, man, we got beast mode. Just can't give him the ball. You know what I'm saying?
saying
I'm not gonna
2
get
yards.
you hot over there. I'm not gonna get you hot
2
over there.
yards.
Somebody else that you got to get on the floor, off the floor. And I want your take on this while we're here, because she got kicked off the floor and she was mad. Hey, listen, I don't know if your husband was heckling LeBron James. They was going back and forth. I don't know what she had to do with it, but sideline Karen that they're calling her. What do we make of that? What do we I mean, they're letting fans back into the arena. Of course, they're letting fans back in Atlanta because Atlanta doesn't have COVID, obviously. You guys are the only ones that just partying your behinds off and just living a life. And I hope the cases aren't as high as we don't know about, because I've been looking for the numbers.
They are as high. Mm-hmm.
All right.
They just don't care.
Okay. At least you settled that for us, because I've been looking for the numbers, and one next thing you know, you see a celebrity in a mask. Next thing you don't in Atlanta. I don't know what's going on. But
I think one day I looked and it was 5,000 cases we got in one day. 5,000.
Oh, crazy. JL, sideline Karen, LeBron James. Twitter has had a field day over this. They talking about Savannah gonna come pull through in the truck, baby. You don't want to mess with Savannah nope. James. What do we make of sideline Karen? And then Tristan, you can go. I mean, this is funny.
You know what? I just really wish people would stop giving her attention. I don't know how many followers she's gained in the last 24, because I didn't know where she was at before, but I checked, and I think she was like over 60,000 followers. And it's like, she could end up, if she plays this the right way, spinning this into something else. And I just want it to be over. But I think her husband started, from what I understand, her husband started coming for LeBron first, and LeBron just kind of checked him back, and then they were arguing back and forth. I don't know really what was said, because I'm not really the best at reading lips. So I just have to go based off of what she was saying. But LeBron, you know, like if you jaw with him, he's going to jaw back. That's just kind of what it is. And he does have the power to get you kicked out. So that is.
Do you think she should have been kicked out? Even LeBron was like, I don't know. The refs did their thing.
I mean, what the question is, would they have kept it going? It seemed like, just from that interaction, from what I've seen, it seemed like it was going to be something where they just kept going back and forth. And I think if that's the case, then you need to put him out.
Because you're not kicking LeBron James out. I mean,
you're not going to kick LeBron James out for sure. So,
oh my God, the blasphemy that would have came from that.
She did pull her mask down, and that, you know, you can't do that. So,
LeBron James, sideline Karen, ding ding. What's up, Tristan?
Wait. Can I just say this type of stuff only happens to LeBron James. Like, it don't really happen to anybody else other than LeBron James.
But y'all gotta get LeBron, man. Let the man play. And psychologically, it does nothing but makes him more better. Like, it doesn't take him off his game, because he can do both. He can talk to you and score. So shut up.
So,
for me, I just don't care. I just don't care enough. I don't care for her. Like, so I just, you know, I didn't even talk about it earlier today with my friends. I was just like, who cares? I don't know who this person is. I'm never gonna see her again. I don't care. But for the sake of the conversation, people gotta understand, LeBron is the same guy that told his mom to sit the bleep down. I just want y'all to understand, LeBron don't back down from nothing. Like, if you go and jar at him, he's gonna give it back to you, and he knows, because he's LeBron James. Like you said, you're not gonna kick LeBron James out. He'd have to literally punch somebody in the jaw before, and even then, they'll probably debate if they're gonna kick LeBron James out.
Has LeBron ever been ejected? I'm trying to think.
Nope.
Nah.
Nope.
I've never seen a fight or anything. If anything, I've seen him pulling guys off of guys.
He's barely gotten technicals. Like, he's one of the few that just really don't get touched. It was the same thing with Jordan. Same thing. It's just one of those guys that just really don't get messed with by the referees. So I'm like, he literally would have to punch somebody in the jaw and knock them out for him to get kicked out of a game. Like, that literally would have to happen.
That flagrant foul was like, wait a minute, LeBron got a flagrant foul?
He's not, exactly. He's not. So because he's that way, it's just never going to happen. So she, you know, she had her little 15 minutes of fame. Congratulations.
with her
Yeah,
for.
can it just be over? Can it just be
Yeah,
over?
just-
Like,
I just
we singing Keisha Cole, baby. We want to be over. I just want
Yeah.
to be over. We singing.
yeah, I don't
Let
care enough
that
to give her
have been
energy.
Draymond Green. We might have saw Draymond Green being ejected from this game. And it sucks
Oh,
for
Draymond would've been
Draymond Green
ejected.
because he can sneeze on somebody, literally. He
And
wasn't
get
even
ejected.
yelling at dude and got kicked out of the game. And
Right.
that really truly sucks because I know reputation can take you a long way. I know we have the Dennis Rodmans of the world and all that type of stuff. But at some point, you got to really look at what's going on and be like, come on now.
Yeah.
LeBron's kind of slick with it though. Like he's slick with it with his
He's
little
smart.
trash talk. Like, sometimes you don't always see it. You don't always catch it.
He's smart. He's smart.
He's
like
smart. You know who else was like that? Kobe was also like that too. I think he led the league in technicals one year. And he was just like the calmest dude. I'm like, he has got to be saying some real foul stuff underneath his breath
Yeah.
to lead the league in technicals.
Yeah.
So.
With no remorse, too. The only thing that I've seen differently as far as trash talking is concerned, I mean, they had to find Melo for that. I don't even think he showered. He was ready for Kevin Garnett as soon as the game was over. You said what about who? I think he just put his suit on. She left us again. I think
No.
Here you are.
I'm back.
I think he just put his suit on and said, yeah, okay. We're gonna see what happens, and whatever happens after that, I'm gonna just take the punishment because
Exactly.
that's not something you do. We go to the NFL now. And if you have been living under a rock, all these trades, we went from should he go to she left to somebody else just left. And this is in the NFL. According to CBS Sports, Matthew Stafford has spent his entire NFL career trying to rebuild the Detroit Lions franchise. He was due for an upgrade, and he just found one. In a blockbuster trade, the Lions sent Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for the Rams' first-round draft picks in 2022 and 2023, a third-round pick in 2021, and quarterback Jared Goff. Stafford moves on from a Lions team he struggled to reach the postseason with to a Rams team led by Sean McVay that has advanced to at least the divisional round and once to the Super Bowl in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Stafford and the Lions had mutually agreed to part ways earlier in the week, with the team moving in a new direction under new general manager Brad Holmes, who until earlier this offseason was the Rams director of college scouting, and head coach Dan Campbell. That sounds weird as I read it in its own right, but whatever. Anyway, Stafford heads to a ready-made contender in the Rams, who have had one of the NFL's best defenses for several seasons and have previously been one of the league's most explosive offenses before Goff's backslide over the past 2 years. Spending a decade in Detroit, he departs as the Lions' all-time leader in completions, 3,898, passing yards, 45,109, passing touchdowns, 282, and quarterback wins at 74. He took the franchise to 3 playoff appearances in his tenure, but the team failed to win a playoff game, going 0-3. Will a change of scenery do Matt Stafford good, ladies and gentlemen? And are the Rams winning with the trade? What do we make of the Lions starting all over again?
I think it's an equal balance. Stafford has been with the Lions for a long time and wasn't really going anywhere, so he needed to be in a change of scenery. So he wins in that way. He goes to a ready-made team. At the same time, I do think the Lions need to rebuild, and that's what they were going for as well. So I would say both won with that.
Tristan,
I think the Rams got fleeced. I think they got fleeced. I think they got hosed out of this trade. The more I sat on it and really thought about what transpired, the more I'm like, the Lions really got away with this. Because I'm gonna explain. Matt Stafford is turning 32 or something going into the season. By this current NFL era standards, he's still in his prime. He can give you a good, barring injury, probably still give you another good 6-7 solid years of football. I understand it's warm weather, playing in LA. You got McVay, who's a genius. offensively, but it has to work for them.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work, I want people to understand the situation that the Rams are in. We're going to go 7 years without the Rams having a first round draft pick. 7 years
And you
without them
can't even
picking.
fix the problem if it goes wrong.
That's
Now
a
that
whole.
you put it that way.
It's a lot. Like that's a lot of years to go without first. And I know not every pick. I know every pick is not guaranteed. That's why we have NFL busts. I get it. I know it does. It's not weighted in gold, but it might be weighted in silver. I mean, it's just. This is how I look at it for Detroit. You know, Detroit's in a rebuilding mode. Okay. Matt Patricia came in, screwed everything up that Jim Caldwell was doing. Y'all shouldn't have fired Jim Caldwell. They screwed up everything that was going on, and now they got to rebuild this from scratch. What you just gave Detroit was a win-win situation. They were fine with, okay, we're not going to have a first-round pick this year, but we got Jared Goff. We're going to see if Jared Goff pans out. If Jared Goff doesn't pan out, I have the next 2 years to either draft a quarterback for my team for the future or get a quarterback in free agency to put with my team and let Jared Goff go. And the reason why I say that is because you have given for the next 2 years, you've given 2 first-round picks every year for the Lions. So now they can use those picks to trade up, down, trade any kind of way that they want to. If they want to get a high-profile player, they can do whatever they want to do. So you kind of gave them the cushion to be able to make the moves that they need to make to rebuild their team. So you're looking at, if Jared Goff sucks, we're going to go look for a quarterback. We got the draft capital to make the moves that we need to move if there's a quarterback that we really want in the next couple of years. If Jared Goff pans out, well, now I got these 2 extra first-round picks that I can use to build around him and make my team a legitimate playoff contender. So there's a lot of working pieces that have to work out because Dan Campbell's got to be a competent coach. They got to have a competent decision-making at the GM level because they got a new GM who came from the Rams, by the way. So there's a lot of things that has to work out for the Lions. But in the long run, if it runs correctly, the Lions really win this trade in the long run. The only way I can see this is an even win is if Matt Stafford, we get the best of Matt Stafford from now till he retires. That's the only way this works out. If it
so
doesn't,
we're either going to see that the Detroit Lions were holding Matt Stafford back, or Matt Stafford was just declining and we just didn't, and he was just declining in a poor system.
Exactly. And mind you, I'm saying this because I believe that Matt Stafford will be good. I am a Matt Stafford fan. I feel like Detroit is one of the cemeteries for NFL careers. I believe that Matt Stafford will be legitimate. But if he's not, this was a hard gamble for the Rams to do.
Well, Jael and Tristan, I don't know. I'm going to say this little tidbit about Jared Goff. I don't know if it makes either one of you guys' points, but this was a lot of money also involved in this. The Rams signed Goff to a 4-year, $130 million contract extension after his 3rd NFL season. And will take, a lot of people did not like that one at all, neither. And will take a significant dead money hit onto their books after making this deal. Goff will count for $22.2 million on LA's books in 2021 while he is playing for Detroit, while the Rams inherit the 2 years and $43 million remaining on Stafford's contract. Goff's struggles over the past 2 seasons led to the team taking a step backward, missing the playoffs in 2019, and then getting knocked in the first round in 2020. That backslide spurred interest in finding a way to move on and upgrade from Goff, which they accomplished, they say, with this trade. Not to mention, Tristan, every quarterback from that 2016 draft has been either cut, traded, or benched, except for the 135th pick in that draft. His name is Dak Prescott.
Good old Dakota. Yeah. I'm listen. The Rams, the Rams have really. They're like the Houston Rockets of the NFL. I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why Dak Prescott is in the position that he's in, the reason why that the Eagles are in the position that they're in with the quarterback situation is because of the Rams. Because that summer, when everybody was like, okay, now these guys got to get paid. What are we looking at? And the Rams were the first ones to be out there and say, we're going to give Jared Goff 120-something million, 100-something million guaranteed. Boom. And everybody looked at the Rams like, you're giving Jared Goff how much? And then we look at, so now everyone looks at Jared Goff as like the least of the pack. So now you're like, well, Carson Wentz had an MVP season before he got injured. So we got to give him that money. And even though he didn't lead us to the Super Bowl, we probably wouldn't have been in the position if he didn't play the way he did. So we have to give Carson Wentz that money. Now they're stuck in the situation that they're in. The Cowboys are looking at Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott looking at them like, well, I've been in the playoffs since I got into the league. I've always been in the playoffs. Look at my numbers. My numbers are excellent, and I don't miss games. So they got to give me my money. And Dallas is like, no. And he's like, well, you have to because Jared Goff got that money. And now fast forward, you give up this king's ransom, 2 first-round picks, and I think a second-round pick, and then Jared Goff to the Lions. So what you think the Texans are looking at with Deshaun Watson? Because if I'm like, well, if Matt Stafford is worth that, then surely we can get the moon and the stars for Deshaun Watson. Like the Rams make it difficult to make deals in the league because they do these astronomical things,
dumb things
to make these deals, and it's just like I feel like all the other executives in the NFL are like, bruh, what you doing?
You're not helping me.
What you doing? Help me. So it's just it's crazy to me how that has shaken out. But with that draft class, I honestly thought, and I still do, I think the 2007 QB class is still the worst class ever. Just to refresh everybody's memory, that was DeMarcus Russell, Kevin Cobb, Steinbeck. It was a bunch of guys that are like non-existent in football. Okay, that's the worst QB class ever. But this 2016, this gonna be interesting. That Prescott might be the lone standing, honestly, at this point.
We have to end this show with some more NFL news, Jael and Tristan. And this is not news that I particularly want to share, but it's news that has happened in sports. And sometimes sports does not just give us regular X's and O's like we just got finished talking. Sports and society go hand in hand, and if you don't know it, now you know, especially if you've seen this bubble. It can either bring the greatest out of people or it can bring the worst and show us the worst out of people that we forget are not just athletes. It's bigger than the basketball. It's bigger than the football, because when you dissect that player from that uniform, they are somebody that you may not know. We know LeBron James. Do you really know LeBron James? This news takes us more into the NFL. Chad Wheeler, former Seahawks lineman Chad Wheeler, pleads non-guilty to domestic violence and resisting arrest for a January incident with his girlfriend, a spokesman for the Washington prosecutor said. This is according to CNN. Wheeler, an offensive lineman, is charged with 2 felonies, first-degree domestic violence assault and domestic violence unlawful imprisonment, as well as misdemeanor resisting arrest, court records show. According to court documents, prosecutor said Wheeler viciously, you seen them pictures, you saw something very horrible. He viciously attacked the victim in her bathroom, strangling her times with both hands. Wheeler is also accused of strangling the victim twice until she lost consciousness. Wheeler, a third-year offensive lineman, wrote on Twitter last week that the events happened over the weekend that transpired from a manic episode. He also tweeted that he is deeply sorry for the pain and suffering that I have caused to his partner. I saw your tweet, Tristan. You don't want to hear that, as I recall. The most important thing now is that she gets the care she needs and I get the help I need, he said. Both are happening. He also apologized for the turmoil that I have caused to my family, teammates, fans, and those closest to me, and said he is truly ashamed. It is time for me to walk away from football and get the help I need to never pose a threat to another, Wheeler also said. The Seahawks said in a statement that Wheeler is a free agent and no longer with the team. The NFL listed Wheeler on its waiver wire last week. The Seahawks are saddened by the details emerging against Chad Wheeler and strongly condemn this act of domestic violence. Our thoughts and support are with the victim. Chad is a free agent and no longer with the team. If you are experiencing domestic violence, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or go to thehotline.org. All calls are toll free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. We encourage Chad to get the help he needs. If you are experiencing mental health issues, please reach out for help. For immediate help with a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That was the Seattle Seahawks giving us a lot of infomercials. This is not what we want to talk about, Jael and Tristan, but we have to talk about it. Hearing this news, hearing that domestic violence and the big cloud that it puts over the NFL is still prevalent. A lot of people saying, Jael and Tristan, that Chad Wheeler, okay, he's not playing in the Super Bowl, but he's suspended. But we have Tyreek Hill over here playing in the Super Bowl. Maybe that should not be. This is unfortunate. How do you feel about it? Jael, you first.
I have a lot of feelings about it. First of all, I don't think we should be like comparing it, like they're all bad. It's all bad. It's not, you shouldn't be putting your hands on anybody. You definitely shouldn't be putting your hands on a woman. And I was just incredibly disappointed. First off, like I read the article that you read too, and I'm wondering why this is not attempted murder, because it sounds like attempted murder. And I think if what was reported is true, he was shocked to even see that she was alive. And we need to take a closer look. It's an uncomfortable situation. I don't want to say it's an NFL thing, but no other league has this type of consistency with violence and domestic violence. I mean, we can go back to even Aaron Hernandez, who was, I guess, killing people in his spare time. And it's like, why is this happening? And why does it seem to only be a consistent thing with the NFL? We need to address it. And I don't know. I think there's a deeper conversation that needs to be had. Is it a CTE thing? Is it a brain thing? I mean, there's no excuses, but we need to just ask ourselves why, when it's not happening consistently with any other major league.
Is it the NFL? Is it unfair to make it about the NFL? We know the reports of CTE and that and so forth, but I've also been able to hear the conversations of guys not being able to dissect the aggression that they have from being on the field and off the field. So I get paid millions of dollars to elude guys, to bounce around, trying not to get hit by guys like Dominic and Sue. But when I go home, I can't be this big teddy bear because I can't bring it down. Is it unfair to make it about the NFL? Or do we have to put it more on these guys that can't control themselves and never learned to do so in Pop Warner in college and just never learned how to channel their aggression? And this is, and mostly for males, when we look at males, that we don't give them a chance to, we have the conversation all the time, Tristan, about males being able to express themselves and cry and let their emotions out. We get mad at males, specifically Black males, and tell them to be tough all the time. And when we get, and then we put them in sports where we allow them to take out that aggression and we see it on the field. But do we allow them that same chance to be able to give them the care that they need off of it? Is it even the NFL's problem? Is it their fault?
I mean, you could say that it's unfair to make it an NFL thing, but until there's another league that's producing those same kinds of numbers, when you're just looking straight at the facts, you can make the argument that whatever it is that's happening with football could be potentially causing these problems. And I don't want to loop it because there's a lot of good men that are that aren't doing these types of things. And to kind of answer the second part of your question, I'm just trying to remember, what all did you say? What was the second part of it?
I really didn't have, but is it more so the fact that they never learned in their lower
Oh, yeah. You know
aspects
what?
of growing up within the game and Pop Warner and the collegiate level and high school that they never learned how to channel their aggression off the field, on the field as well.
Well, maybe they need to have a talk with some boxers and wrestlers, because I know that they've had some issues and there have been some problems there. But again, it's not, at least from what we know, it's not as consistent. And that's probably just as, I'm gonna hit you in the face, I'm gonna knock you out. Like it's not as prevalent in that. And then I feel like pick on somebody your own size, right? If you absolutely have to fight, why are you going after a woman? I mean, men as in general, especially if you're talking about somebody who's an athlete who works out, I can't take you. A woman can't take you. Why are you hitting a woman?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tristan, not to make you the only guy in the room, but you're the only guy in the room. Your thoughts on this, sir? Another unfortunate domestic violence thing that happens with an NFL player. Unfortunate. Like I said, I've seen the pictures. It's gruesome. It's not to be messed with. What do you think about it?
I mean, it should never be tolerated. I think the NFL has done everything that they can do on their end with this isolated situation. I think they've done everything that they could do. Seahawks got the news. Immediately he was released. They didn't worry about money, contract, or anything. He was immediately released. People were like, well, the NFL needs to officially ban him. Listen, they suspended him. That man is never seeing an NFL roster again. Don't worry. Like it's not going to happen. They don't have to come out and say we ban him. No, he's just going to be banned by association. Like that's what it is. So we don't have to worry about that with him in the NFL in that standpoint. Now, I do believe that the NFL might want to take a harder look at maybe the psychological aspect of these players, maybe reevaluate because I think I want to say every franchise has some kind of therapist or something. I think they're equipped with that. So I think they need to reevaluate what's going on in that realm with these players, for them to have this aggression. And I get it. I mean, I've been in contact sports my entire life. I did football. I did kickboxing, boxing. I understand that level of aggression that you have to have to compete. And I did it at lower levels. I was a teenager in high school and things like that. These guys are the best in the world. So I understand that there's a certain way that they have to be to get there. I get it. My dad always say, athletes aren't wired too tight, because you can't be to do some of the things that you're asking them to do on a consistent basis. But at the same token, the league has to come in and figure out what is going on. I mean, we had the Darius Geis situation that happened over the summer, and this was a well-liked guy from the fans. And now we heard that stuff. And, they saying when he knocked the girl out, she came to, he's crying, trying to apologize for knocking her out. It's like there's something going on with their heads. And I fully agree with Jael. I don't know how he got away with this not being attempted murder. If you're surprised that she woke up, so you had intent, which means you had some kind of motive for your actions. You had a premeditated thought in your mind that she wasn't going to be conscious. And that's why I said when he tweeted about him having mental issues and coming out, he's bipolar, he has bipolar issues and wasn't taking his medicine. I don't want to hear that BS. You had a premeditated motion to put her unconscious. If you're shocked that she woke up, that means you had intentions of her not waking up. And I can't stand when I see, people always say, oh, you make it a race thing, but when you look at it, when the facts are in your face, you have to look at it. It boggles my mind that we can be in a place where a white man can have this kind of, well, not even allegation, this event happen, this tragedy happened, and immediately someone comes to his defense talking about bipolar disorder, he has a mental illness, he needs to go see help, he needs to go see a doctor, he needs to be instituted in the hospital, not put in prison. But let it have been a black person, you are quick to put them under the jail. People forget when the Ray Rice situation happened, he came out and said that that's not a normal thing. Like that was a heated argument they had. I'm not saying it as an excuse. What I'm saying is when Ray Rice came out and was trying to be sympathetic, trying to be contrite, trying to be, be sincere. And then the same woman that is his wife was right next to him trying to say, hey, this happened, but we're trying to build better. We're trying to be together. The NFL had nothing to do with him. The world had nothing to do with him. And this was a well-liked player. And they wanted nothing to do with him anymore. You wanted to put him under the jail. You wanted to put Michael Vick under the prison for dogs. So when I see things like that, and then you got this guy who literally was surprised that his girlfriend woke up, and you're quick to tell me about mental illness? Nah, miss me with that. I don't want to hear about that. I also don't want to hear about the fact that the police officer said they struggled to get him controlled and they had to tase him because I saw you literally kill a black man on TV. So I don't want to hear that either. I don't want to hear that you had such a struggle because you didn't use the force that you would use on someone that looks like me. You did not. So miss me with all of that. Put him in the jail, put him underneath the jail. I pray for her. I pray for her sanity, her psyche through this. I pray she can get past this and be stronger and better than ever. But miss me with bipolar, miss me with mental issues, miss me with, we want to help him. I don't want to hear any of that. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't need to exist in the public eye at all.
Let's see. It's crazy how much we think alike, because I want to go further into that racial aspect. And Jael, this is where we come into play when we talk about Black women. Nobody wanted to protect Mrs. Rice because she was just standing by her man. She wanted him to be back in the NFL. In the event that she's saying, this is just something that's happened, it's not normal, we're getting past it, get over it, and let him go on. Nobody wanted to hear that. But yet we see a white man and a mixed woman. I think she's black. I don't know if she's black, but she's mixed. She does not look Caucasian at all. How much the level of protecting her are we going to be able to pay attention to? How much do we look at that?
Yeah. And there's definitely a discrepancy when it comes to how these situations have been treated. And it's like Tristan said, in general, look at how people ostracized Mike Vick, for dogs. And that's something that still continues to this day. Like there are people that, don't want to give him his credit, don't even want to mention the name Mike Vick. And in all honesty, I'm with Tristan. I don't want to hear the excuses. I'm tired of hearing the excuses that, he has a mental illness. It was a manic disorder. And honestly, let's just keep it 100% real. If he had been Black, there wouldn't have been any tasing. There would have been gunshots. That's just 100%. Let's keep it how it is, so I don't want to hear it. He doesn't need to see the NFL ever again, which I don't think we all have to worry about that. And he needs to be put into prison, and there doesn't need to be any excuses. Doesn't need to be any, I'm sorry. It was, no.
I don't foresee the punishment fitting the crime.
I
see him getting house arrest. I see him
He's
getting
already
a couple
pretty much
of months.
out on house arrest.
Yeah.
I see him getting a couple of months, some treatment. The punishment, and the fact that I kept hearing these Tyreek Hill rumblings, it was like the man's in the Super Bowl. You guys, it didn't happen before. If that wasn't gonna, if we're going to chastise them all, just like you made that point earlier, JL, it's not something that needs to happen. I forget what you were talking about, but you were talking about it's not something that just needs to happen to one. If we're going to do one to one thing, we need to do it to everybody. So if you're going to chastise them all the same way, everybody needs to be chastised the same way across the board. The moment that there's even a sniffle of that, you're out of here.
Absolutely.
If you're concerned of everybody being able to play in big games, Ben Roethlisberger, how many big games has he played in? But we have nothing on tape. Open your eyes.
Exactly.
Pro Bowl. Now I know it's not going to be the regular Pro Bowl. I had the greatest of Pro Bowl memories seeing Sean Taylor just whack the hell out. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. You would think that you were going to be chilling on a Pro Bowl game, right, Rael? You thinking, JL, you thinking, oh, we're chilling. This is an exhibition game. Sean Taylor said, whatever.
that you know what, that's one of the biggest heartbreaking things that I think has ever happened in sports. It'll be like, in my eyes, top 5, top 10. Like, he was such a talent, and he was just taken from us way too soon. But I don't understand. I almost want to cry when I think about him. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, the fines that would have been thrown his way in this league. The only person that I think has been equivalent to him that I love so much that has even made me remotely think of and we lost him way too soon. Cam Chancellor. We won't, that neck injury took him out. We will never get a chance to see Cam Chancellor in total full bloom of what his whole career would have been. This is a sports show, JL. So before you leave, Super Bowl weekend is here.
I was wondering. I was like, are we not going to talk Super Bowl? But
what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Are you Tom Bradying up the hill? You can't bet against him. It's about 10 of them things. Look what he's done to the Buccaneers. Or are you saying it's Patrick Holy Mahomes? It's his league. AARP stepped to the side. You knew what you were doing when you was going to the NFC. You didn't want to have anything to do with me. I'm Patrick Mahomes. Who you got, baby? Shout out to first of all, shout out to Bruce Arians. Shout out to what he said this week. Shout out to what he said about Byron Leftwich. I don't know how we're not talking about him. All these NFL black coaches in the NFL that are behind the scenes getting the job done. We hope that we talk about y'all.
Absolutely.
We got, baby.
You know, I was just talking with one of my friends about this, and I think that if you didn't already consider Tom Brady the GOAT, you have to consider him the GOAT now, even if he does not win, because we're not talking about a 25, 26, 27-year-old Brady that's doing this. Like, we're talking about a 43-year-old that went to a brand new team, and his ass is back in the Super Bowl. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I think he's definitely GOAT status. And you know what? This is so tough. Because my heart says it's Mahomes. I think he's going to pull it out. My gut says it's Tom Brady. My gut says it's Tom Brady. I think Tom has a way of doing the unthinkable. I mean, he's back in the Super Bowl. This is the unthinkable. Like, and I just think he's going to get it done. But I think it's going to be one for the ages. And honestly, we deserve this Super Bowl after the year we had. We deserve this. I hope it's a good game. I hope it comes down to the wire. No blowouts. I'm gonna go with Brady and Tampa Bay, because that's just what my gut is telling me.
Unless all those 10 Super Bowls, we also saw a lot of breakdowns from the other side. I mean, all you got to do is run the ball. Run the ball, Atlanta.
All right,
28-3. Just run the ball. And you couldn't do that, Matt Ryan. You couldn't tell him to shut up and run the ball. Then we got a no beast mode. You're throwing it as an interception. So he's been there 10 times, but what we also have seen is we've seen a lot of teams just give him the win. When they
Mahomes, and that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
Kansas City breaks down, or something happens over there.
Kansas City will not back down. Mahomes is not gonna back down. But I just have this feeling. I don't know what it is. I'm going with Brady.
Divine Tom God intervention, huh?
I might even put some money on it. I never put money on it. I never put money on, but I might put some money on it.
Oh, there you have it. Tristan, we got more to discuss next week, right? Because, or do you don't want to do this now, do you?
No. I could wait on it. I feel the same way she does. Like, conventional wisdom is going to tell me that Kansas City should win this game. It's just too much. It's too much on the offense side of the ball for them not to win. But I do have just a funny feeling like Tom Brady something gonna happen for Tom Brady to be able to pull this thing out, man. And like, it just seems like the writing is on the wall. Like when he won the NFC Championship, I was just like, man, he's gonna win the Super Bowl. Like I said it unconsciously. I was like, he's gonna win the Super Bowl because it just
you saw the
like,
him and Gronk in the video.
It just seemed like it's supposed to happen that way. Like he's supposed to win. I don't know why, but it just seems like he's supposed to. It's going to be a Super Bowl for the ages. I believe so. And I'm excited to see it. But I feel like Tom Brady I feel like he's going to pull it out, man. It's Tom Brady. Like, it's Tom Brady.
I sure hope everybody's obeying the rules and quarantining, because the way our luck has been going, like,
just
don't need no positives. Stay at home, please. Like, everybody, like, we all waiting for this.
Yes.
Don't mess it up.
The NFL got what it wanted, did it? It purely said, we're going to let y'all get it. You're going to go home, quarantine, get yourself together. We still going to have a season. You're going to come back and play. And now we're at the Super Bowl with no care given. This is it. What a scandal it would be if one of them got positive, and now it's like, oh, should we even?
You know what? I don't even want to talk it up. I don't even want
to.
No. I didn't say.
I want everybody at full strength. I want everybody at full strength, ready to go. That's what I want.
We didn't even have this conversation. We gonna knock on it.
We didn't have this conversation.
That
I'm gonna be sitting there with my wings, my Old Bay wings, my blue cheese dress, and I can't go to a Super Bowl party this year because it's more than 5 people.
It sucks.
I don't care about the 10 rule. If it's more than 5 of y'all, I don't want to be. If it's 5 of y'all, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take my wings, my nice little beer, and I'm gonna watch it home, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
Surprise, you know what I'm saying? Text my friends,
There you go.
I won't be in no virtual nothing, so don't call me. And it's at 6, so it's before my actual bedtime because I work overnight, so I can actually watch the whole thing, unless it's Snoresville, and then But then the last Snoresville I saw with Tom Brady in it, I woke up and 28-3 wasn't 28-3.
Yeah, and that was so funny because I'm here in the A, so people were already starting to celebrate, and it was like, again, that little feeling. I'm like, Tom Brady is not done. He's not done.
and understand that it's very similar. I want people to understand how great offensively that Atlanta Falcons offense was. Like,
it was.
That was a loaded team, and they were clicking. So this is not unfamiliar territory of Tom Brady going against another high-powered offense with a good quarterback at the helm. He knows what this looks like, and that's why I said I just can't. Let me see him lose. I just can't say he's gonna lose. I gotta watch him.
Has anybody else picked up on that Brady James connection? Like, I feel like LeBron low-key watches Brady, like, as he ages, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it too.
Go for that.
I'm gonna do it too.
Yes.
And there's no Bill Belichick a part of this. There's no Bill Belichick takes this player away. Bruce Arians, we'll see that defense, baby. We'll see what we see what he got to do against this Kansas City Chiefs. Todd Bowles, We'll see what we have to do about this Kansas City defense. Kansas City offense.
He ain't been sleeping. I promise you that. He ain't been sleeping all week. And they said Sammy Watkins might play in this game. Sammy Watkins might be healthy. Hey, I feel for Todd Bowles. He might get another head coaching job if he wins this game. If he can hold that offense to less than
20.
Tampa, he getting a head coaching job next season. Trust me. If he can hold that offense to less than 20 points, trust me, ain't no way he's not getting a head coaching job.
And if they blow them out, where does that put Eric Bieniemy? More in the hot seat than we want him to be.
Oh, if they win this by a blowout, Eric Bieniemy, it's going to be blasphemous. It's going to be blasphemous for Eric Bieniemy not to have a head coaching job. Philadelphia, I don't understand.
This is another conversation for another day.
Because it's just like
this show is over. Episode 110, the Walt, Clyde, Fraizer edition. We gonna glide. We're not gonna clap. We gonna glide all the way out of this. Jael, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Again.
I know I had that little technical issue. I'm not sure what was going on with my phone glitching.
That's okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Hey, listen.
No problem.
There's nothing indifferent that technology can say about us. We're trying to do the best we can. Hell, in the most greatest of moments, most greatest of shows on this show, I got off the damn end. You got male hell on here, and I cut off.
Yeah.
It's all right. You recovered.
I spent 2 minutes crying before I got myself on there.
I do want to say this real quick because it just came to my phone. You know, I always keep my phone. I'm trying to be like the Black Adam Schefter. So, you know, I always got my phone on me.
Ramos, Curtison of Tristan knows everything.
So the Las Vegas, because I still be saying Oakland sometimes, the Las Vegas Raiders are looking to possibly trade Derek Carr in pursuit of Deshaun Watson in a 3-team trade. They're going to want 2 first-round picks for the trade to work out. The Colts, the Bears, the Patriots, Washington, and possibly the Saints could be involved in this trade if it comes to fruition. So Las Vegas Raiders are shopping around Derek Carr.
I don't see it.
Possibly going for Deshaun Watson.
That'll be interesting.
That's interesting. I don't see it. I thought, you know, all these teams we've been throwing them at it. I didn't see it, but
I didn't see that one coming. But I would not put it past John Gruden at all. Wouldn't put it past
10-year contract is a long time to get it together. So he better get
it. He comfy. He comfy in that seat.
He's still
so
working.
So he can do whatever he want to do. He can do whatever he wants.
And we're gonna end that on that note because I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about this next week. And I'm gonna say it like I said every week. I don't care if it does not rhyme, but it's still mine. I am McHale, like Kevin McHale. Next week we will have. I won't tell you who's on our show next week, but I will say we will have the Super Bowl recap. We'll have more news and notes for you. And then we take a break. We take a midwinter break, and then we'll be right back. America, peace. It's been real.
Peace.